I'm setting my timer. I told you I was going to try and stay to 60 minutes. So I saw that it's been a struggle for the guys that I've had on, stay on time. So let me hit it there. There we go. All right, guys. Well, hey, I'm happy to be on here with you guys. Like Jackson was saying, if ever you have any questions, you can actually just unmute and ask the question. And just feel free to interrupt me. I hear my voice all day long, so I don't mind if somebody has a question and we can go with that and maybe go off in a tangent on it. We'll see how it goes. There's also Marty Costello's on here too. He's the O-line coach with Winnipeg. So if I don't have the answer, he can probably help me out with it. So look forward to doing this with you guys. Let me share my screen here. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the learning pyramid and how I use it and how I teach my guys. So the first thing is how to retain 90% of everything you learn. And you guys should have got the article. If you didn't get it, I can send it out to you, or I post it on the Facebook page, so you can have a look at it on there as well. I'm not going to go through the article here. I'll just get to the summary of it. So for the guys that have seen the article, what are some of the things that you got out of the article? You can unmute yourselves and go for it. What are some of the things that you read in the article?
Well, I know we were talking about it earlier, and you know, right off the top, it's talking about people retain 90% of the stuff that that you know they teach to others. So we have a big thing on that. You know, we call it LBXT, learn best by teaching. So that's one of the takeaways early on that I got from it.
Absolutely, and like you were saying, how you know in the summer you've got these whatever you want to call them, captains practices and all that stuff. That's an amazing deal for these guys to truly understand the system when they can get out there and do that stuff. So so I'll just go over this stuff quickly in summary. So they, you know, 5% of what they learn when they've learned it in a lecture. Guys will retain 10% of what they learn when they've learned it from reading. 20% of what they learn from audiovisual. 30% what they learn when they see a demonstration. 50% what they learn when engaged in group discussion. 75% what they learn when they practice what they learn. And 90% of what they learn when they teach someone else and use it immediately. All right, so now I'll go with how I hit each one of these and when I'm coaching my guys. All right, so how does this apply to football? Okay, so we install a system in every training camp. Okay, so how do we teach it? You know, how are we going to get the guys to learn that deal? All right, we install a game plan every week. Okay, how do we teach it to the guys? You know, these are the things you got to ask yourself. All right, so learners retain approximately 5% of what they learn when they've learned it from a lecture. So for installing the in camp and on a weekly basis, so I'll install new plays and talk about a game plan using a lecture style, but I'll limit the style as much as possible. I don't like standing in front of the group and just, you know, giving them all the information and say, all right, let's get out on the field. They just don't retain a good amount of it. Okay, 10% of what they learn when they've learned it from reading. Okay, so I limit the number of handouts I give to my players to memorize a game plan. As Jackson and I were just talking about that, you know, I used to spend a lot of time drawing up all these blocking diagrams, you know, how we're going to face each front, drawing it all up, blocking it all up. And I give them a huge printout and staple it together or put it in a binder. And then you go in the locker room and like the guys are all gone and that thing is still in there, just pristine, never been looked at. You know, so it's a lot of work that goes into building those things on our end as coaches. But I don't think you're getting as much out of it. You know, if you're only retaining 10% of that, and a lot of guys just don't even spend the time to look at it, I don't know if it's worth the energy that you're putting into it. You could probably be putting together clips for them to help them learn a little bit better. Okay, learners retain approximately 20% of what they learn from audiovisual. Okay, so that goes into the clips that I just talked about. All right, so the use of game clips to help explain things in valuable, especially in situational football. So, you know, I try and give the guys cut-ups from, all right, so we're backed up right now. What are the things, their tendencies that they do? You know, are there certain pressures, okay? Middle of the field, what do they do? All right, and then you give them all these things, help learn that way. You know, as you approach the red zone, you know, do they become more aggressive? You know, having all those video clips and helping them understand it that way. Okay, learners retain approximately 30% of what they learn when they see a demonstration. Okay, so I don't like to sit down when I'm watching the film with the players and running the video. I'll usually try and stand in front so I can demonstrate whatever the teaching point may be from the film. So typically, you know, I'll be in the front and I'll be holding the remote in one hand, and then I'll put the remote down, I'll grab a chair and I'll demonstrate, hey, so this is the footwork that you should use. And I'll try and show them a lot of this stuff that way. Our guys are so visual now. You know, they spend a lot of time watching video or playing video games, or even watching people play video games. So they want to see things in front of them. All right, 50% of what they learn when engage in a group discussion. Okay, I use group discussions when we talk about our opponent and how each individual player in their front plays. So the thing with this is you need to the players to be engaged in the discussion. So it's always better when the guys already have studied the opponent on their own, and if they already know their opponent, they can bring up keys from that. So I really like studying, like especially I try and get the younger guys. This is how they learn how to break down film. It's their job to, let's say 1 week, one of the new guys has got, or the rookies or the freshmen or whatever it is, has the D-line. Well, he's got to do all the breakdown of maybe the D tackles, and another guy's got the defensive ends. So they'll type it all out, and then I'll bring it to the group, but then we'll start the discussion on what we're seeing from these players. And it's great because some of the older guys are guys that have learned how to study film. You know, they'll pick up on things and they'll bring it up in a discussion, and the keys that the guys are giving away for certain moves they're about to do. And the guy, you know, the young guys have got to write it on the sheet, so they got to update the sheet. But it's a great deal for them to create that discussion, and they learn how to break down film from the older guys just from having the discussion and learning the key points that those guys are looking at. Okay, learners retain approximately 75% of what they learn when they practice what they learn. Obviously, we'll practice. However, players may not get the opportunity to run every play in practice. All right, they need to take mental reps when they're not in. So how do they do that? Well, they got to pay attention to the script. The last school I was at, our wide receiver coach, he did a pretty good deal. He had all the scripts. He would take the scripts and he'd take like 3 or 4 of them and put them on the sidelines in a sleeve. That way the receivers that weren't in, or any of the skill guys that weren't in, they could always grab the script and one guy would walk around with it, and then they just put it on the ground. So it was always in our bench area. And I thought that was a great deal, rather than, you know, you don't always have enough coaches to get the plays to the guys. So I thought that was a great idea for him to do that. So you got to pay attention to the script. Think about what they would have to do on that given play versus that given front that the defense is presented in front of them right there. Okay. Imagery is a great tool for the athletes to get more reps, you know. So if you teach them how to use imagery a little bit, you know, so you say, hey, so you got this front in front of you. What can they do in that front? You know, all right, now see yourself making this block. All right, so those are the mental reps those guys need to take, even though they're not getting that rep in practice itself. Okay. I also use quiz handouts with the opponent's fronts on them and practice thinking about the blocking scheme by drawing them out. So we'll do this in the meeting room. I love when the projector is actually onto a whiteboard. That way I'll have the front on the whiteboard, and then one of the guys will get up with a marker, and then he's got to draw it up. And it's kind of like it's a fun deal in the room for the guys, because the guys are like laughing and stuff and joking around, and they're you know, putting pressure on them. Someone's doing the Jeopardy deal, the sound to Jeopardy and stuff. So, you know, that it makes it fun, but I'd rather the guys make the mistake there, you know, on the board than happen out on the field. Let's correct it now. And then when we get out on the field, we're not going to waste that rep in practice. And in a worse situation, waste the rep in the game because it could lead to a bad play. Okay. Then learners retain approximately 90% of what they learn when they teach someone else or use it immediately. Okay, so this is, to me, where the fun happens. Okay, I'll often ask the guys to explain parts of the game plan and how we will use it versus our opponent. Okay, how are we blocking a certain front, like I just talked about, with that, drawing it up. But, talk us through it, So whether that's in the meeting room and they've got to talk it through on a video screen, okay, or this is out on the field and I put a bunch of guys standing in front of them in a different front and they got to walk it through. The thing that I'll let them do is I'll let them keep going, all right? Even if they're wrong, I'll let them keep going until they realize that they made a mistake, all right? And then here's the thing with it is they might say to block it up a certain way that, you might not have thought of, but it might still work, right? And then when they're out on the field, I'm not taking a single snap in a game. So the center is the one that's going to be making all these calls. So if he sees something, sometimes I'm just like, okay, so why are you seeing it that way? Well, that's a great way. Why don't we start the game this way instead? And then maybe we'll go to that after if we need to get to it. But the guys have got to make the mistake to learn how to get it right. So, all right. So, and another thing that I'll ask is, what are the tells of this defense? Okay. So, if it's, you see the Wills at 7 yards, all right. Okay. Well, that's a tell that maybe they're bringing pressure to the field or something like that. Those are the little things that the guys talk about. All right. The center is responsible for making the calls in the game, so they need to be able to make the calls in the meeting room. If your center is afraid to make the calls in front of his peers in the meeting room, I don't know how he's going to do it on the field when things are moving in front of them, because they've got to be assertive and they've got to believe in what they're doing. For them to be able to execute their job, all right, they've got to know what they're doing inside and out. Okay, and then the other guys beside him, they just got to trust that he's making the right decision. Okay, the center will often be the one running the film when we're watching opponent versus opponent film. So what I'll do is I'll put together a cut-up. Day one typically is a run cut-up, so it'll be all 1st and 10 stuff. So I'll meet with the center beforehand, kind of go over some stuff that we need to cover, and then he'll run that meeting with the opponent versus opponent film and be talking about, hey, we're running this play right here. Okay, this is my call, what our blocks are. Okay, and he'll say, all right, right tackle, so what are you doing on this play? But he's running the meeting. He's got to be the leader in that room. Like I said, I'm not taking any snaps. He's the one that's got to be able to communicate everything. Especially in a situation where, you're on a long drive, you're on a 10, 15 play drive or something. As a coach, you can't make any adjustments with the O-line. They've got to be able to get it figured out as the thing goes to be able to extend that drive. So it's important that the center can make all these calls. All right. So any questions on any of that stuff?
Yeah, we've got one in the chat here from Coach Rogers asking about study aids. So what kind of study aids do you give your players to help them understand film? And he's talking about it being challenging for high school players because they always just want to watch the ball and follow the ball.
Yeah. So kind of take it back to by the position. Let me unshare here. Well, I'll leave it on that. So take it back to the position breakdowns. So, if I was coaching high school, I would have, let's say if I didn't have a JV program, I would have the freshmen, they would start watching the film and they have to start breaking down. One guy would have D tackles, all right? And he just has to watch only D tackles and make notes on them. And then, so what I do is I give them the template and it says player 90 from this team, his name, and then it says versus run versus pass. And then they type it in and then they'll email it to me. That way it's always on the same template. And so then there'll be multiple guys have to email it into me and then I'll print it out. And then the guy's got a little book. Basically, that's one of the only handouts I really give them. All right, so they've got that. And then the discussion happens with the players on watching it. And they become more focused because they do get, oh, look at that wide receiver there. Look at, you got a great block on that play. Well, it doesn't matter because we got to get the play started, right? So controlling their eyes, that was brought up yesterday in the clinic, is, you know, a big thing on having their eyes trained. Well, you got to train your eyes on how to watch film as well. That was a great question. Any other questions?
Yeah, if it's all right to just jump in.
Go right ahead.
I get the reason why you would go with your center, just because he's in the middle of the field, sees everything. But for some of us coaches that are coaching at levels, even underneath the high school level or bantam or peewee and stuff like that, do you see it being an issue using a kid that's just got more experience than the other guys on the line?
So that's a great question. So there are times where maybe that, you know, your starting center goes down. The guy that might be the most versed in this whole thing might be one of your guards.
Yeah.
And the guard might be the one having to make all the calls. So sometimes it's figuring out who has the best football IQ and then going with them. You know, it's, as a tackle, that's tough now seeing, if you're right tackle, seeing what's going on over the left tackle.
On the other side, yeah.
But guards can see a lot of stuff, you know. So, you know, but if you get them down to a three-point stance and their head is down, you know, that's tough for them to see. I know that. But, you know, if you got a smart guard, there is no problem with making your guard be that guy. But same thing, though, I would have him making the calls all the time in the walkthroughs and everything.
Thanks.
No problem. Great question. Was there another question there? I just saw someone pop up. All right, I'll keep going. Okay, so now I'm going to hit O-Line Indy here. Just quickly touch on this. So I've got the O-Line toolbox. All right, so this was with Montreal. This is my lineman award. So I basically had this metal toolbox, and on a weekly basis, I would grade them, and then I would put the top graded guy. I'd put his name, the opponent that we had, and the score of the game, and just make an engraved deal on top. So there was 18 plaques on the top of this thing. So the reason why we went with the toolbox is we always talk about loading the O-lineman's toolbox. All right. Getting all the, you know, teaching them all these different things because they're not all the same, right? And you want to make sure that they're able to get the job done that needs to get done. So I put a note down here: different jobs need different tools. You know, myself I love woodwork. So when I'm in the off season, I'll try and tackle some projects in woodwork. Well, if you look at a shelving unit for one guy online and how he puts it together, well, it could be 5 shelves. And then you look at another guy and he's got 5 shelves. But then you start looking about how this shelf is built. Well, you turn it around, you look at it, and they use complete different deals. They're still getting the same 5 shelves, but it's complete different deals, and that works for them. And it could be because of certain tools that they have, and that's what they go with. So, you know, I don't have a finger joint tool, so, you know, I can't use that type of joiner. So, you know, when it comes down to it, you have certain alignment, you're going to do some things, and if you have other alignment, you're going to do a different thing. Also, system, how the system fits into it. So your toolbox varies depending on the system you're in and the players you got. Okay, so figuring out your players. This is a crucial part, okay, because not all players are the same at every level. So, so age, you look at age, like you were saying. So you got freshmen, high school guys are not going to be the same as your seniors. So how you install with them, you know, you're going to have to give them the basics, and then you can, as you get them for more years, you can progress on the technique that you originally installed with them and then move it up. Okay. So you've got age as a factor. All right. Physically. All right. Some guys are just obviously more developed physically. So it'll be easier for them to do certain things. Some guys lack flexibility, lack ankle flexion, you know, like, so every guy is different in that respect. All right. Mental skills. Okay. So how can are these guys able to prepare themselves in terms of studying. So you got to teach them all the mental skills. And then you got varying football IQs. So when a kid's just starting out with football, all right, so the grassroots football guys, you're laying the foundation for these guys to learn their football IQ. So it's a huge deal that you guys get it set straight with them, and they start to learn it. What's an over front? What's an under front? There's times where you get guys even at the college level or at the pro level where guys don't have a great football IQ. They've been able to get away with just being very gifted athletically and not knowing anything. So the more you can put on them for their football IQ, the better it is as they progress through, because every time you move up a level, the talent of the players around you is getting better, and you might not be as good at that point. But if you have a strong football IQ, it's going to help you out. All right. Not all players are the same biomechanically, so I touched on that just a little bit. So you want to try and figure out which tools will help each player succeed. Okay, so an example of this is on a combo block. All right, so some guys have the strength to be able to use a hand. All right, they can put a hand into that block. All right, and then drive up to the linebacker. Other guys don't have that same strength, so they've got to use the flipper. All right, it's figuring out your players to be able to teach them the right things. And then sometimes guys want to have the ability to jump between both. So, you're teaching the whole group, but where you got to emphasize with certain guys. Okay, so now I'll jump over to the film here. Any questions on that before I jump over to the film?
Coach, what are some of the things that you do, at your school to become aware of some of the levels that your players are at? Like, are you a coach that will spend time individually with these guys to figure some of that stuff out? Or do you rely more on the meeting room, or what do you do?
The thing that I noticed with the guys is, especially like the football IQ it's a very easy one to see when I'm in the meetings and I get them to start talking, and I don't let just the quiet guys sit in the back. Like, I'll get them involved. And you'll really see, like, some guys, let's say like a tackle. Tackles sometimes are very, they've got their blinders on, and they don't see anything outside of that. So, you get to see where they're at with their football IQ, but you want to try and help them expand it so they know where their help is coming from on plays. If they're just, they got the blinders on, they don't know where the help's coming from, they can't necessarily get their block done effectively. So, good question on that. All right, so I'll just get going here on the Indy side of things. Okay. All right, so just show you this here. Okay, so this is the run square. If you've seen, this is Coach Wiley right here. All right, if you've seen any Coach Wiley's presentations of Indy, you'll be really bored right now, because I do a lot of the stuff he does. I had the privilege of being his guest coach for 3 years, 2 years in Winnipeg, 1 year in Regina, and then being his assistant coach for 2 years. So I've done a good job over those 5 years of trying to steal as much stuff as I can from his brain. So I've picked it many times on some different things, and I like what he does. Obviously, that's why I tried to stay around him as long as possible. So I do a lot of the same things. So some of the clips here will be from Winnipeg. Some of them will be from Montreal that we'll be watching here. But this is the run square setup, right? So just to make drills fast, we have it all set up for them. And that way the guys know exactly when they come over from stretch, they're going to come right to this and then be spread out. So on the cone that you see right there, the little yellow cone, there's a tennis ball sitting on top of that. Okay, you've got your arm shield, and then you've got a med ball sitting on the front row. And that's all because of the different drills that we do, just to be able to progress as fast as possible and get as many drills done. I don't like having guys just like two guys going at once, when we're doing things. I want to try and get as many guys going as possible. So this would be like first day of training camp, second day of training camp type deal. But we'll actually get them into stance. These are pro players, but we'll still get them down into stance, all right, and see, you know, how they sit in there, because you don't know where they're coming from. So they might have a bad stance. You know, like you look at let me see here, the guy in the back right here, he's got a really deep stagger. All right, well, that might work for him. Can he do every block out of it? Or on first down, is it going to be really tight? You know, those are the things you got to try and pick up on in these things when you're lining them up. And then on the far end here on the left, okay, you've got all the fullbacks and tight ends. So, you know, you can get any number of stances in this possible, because some of these guys have never played that position. They're being moved over from a linebacker position, or they're a bigger slot back, and then they have to line up in this. So just like you guys would have situations where, you know, you're moving guys around in positions, this would be a good place to identify if they can even get down in the stance. Okay, and then we have them pull their hand up and make sure they have a nice solid base on that. Okay, next thing we get into fast feet. Okay, so in this one here, all right, so I'll have them hold a tennis ball in between their hands, and they'll be rolling it like they're rolling a meatball. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do right now, all right, is trying to work the independent hands from their feet. Okay, we don't want them to be locked stiff. All right, you know, the left foot moves, the right arm moves. We don't want them to be stiff like that. We want, you know, nice flowing hands and relaxed. So what I'll do here is I'll just say feet, and then I'll start pointing them out different ways, and they'll just move around a little bit. Okay, get them warmed up. All right, then we'll do it again. Okay, then I'll just point, you know, get them into a little zone block. There we go. All right, and same thing right here. Okay, feet, moving around. Okay. So that's basically every day, start that same way. Okay, then we'll do demeanor for 10. Okay, so they'll move away from the bags, get in the middle of their bags that we have set up there, and then they'll just keep a demeanor. So when I'm saying demeanor, what I want is a wide base, okay, and then they're stepping, they're getting their full cleat in the ground, okay, they're flat-footed on the ground, okay, and walking forward on this. Okay, and they do it for 10 yards. All right. Then we'll just turn them around, bring them back the other way. Okay, so this one here, these guys are not using the tennis balls. Okay, and then you'll see this one here, I've got them using the tennis balls. So sometimes I'll have them do it, sometimes I won't. But just change up for them. Okay. All right, now we'll get into zone steps. All right. For some reason, I do not have the video of their first two steps. Okay. But when we get into it here, you'll see. So we would start normally. So I'd say the center and everyone over to the left, they would be doing, you know, a 3 zone, and then the guys on the right got a 2 zone. So they'll just take, you know, they'll take a drop step. And what we're trying to do with their drop step is, let's say the running back's in pistol and he's running like a mid zone. Whatever his shoulder angle is right there, we're trying to mirror that shoulder angle, okay, with our first step to align, okay, our hips. So you'll see here, this is 3 steps. So imagine here, these guys on the left, all right, are going, you know, either a 3 zone or a 5 zone, okay, and then the guys, okay, on the right over here are going a 2 zone, okay. So we'll do 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We'll do that both ways. Okay, there you go. So the 3 steps. All right, talking to the tight end, make sure the tight end's getting it right. Okay, we want to stay nice and low, maintain a good base. Okay, so we get into the med balls. Okay, so you might not have med balls, but you can use a basketball, volleyball, whatever you can get your hands on, and use that. You know, you can see the guy on the end over here, the tight end fullback on this end. We didn't have enough med balls, so they would just use one of our punch balls they had. So as long as it's a round surface that keeps their elbows tight and their hands tight, that's all right. Okay, so the first time we do it on this, on the double under, what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep them, okay, nice and tight. Okay, this is no step. We just want to get double under. We want to get a lift, all right? So we're trying to get the hip roll. Okay, so when you watch film on younger players, a lot of times you'll see them just lean. Okay, there's no hip roll. Okay, and not getting any power through their legs. Okay, they're just kind of leaning on them. So I know I break down a lot of high school film, and when I look at a guy, and especially the bigger guys, they get away with just leaning on guys, and they have no power. You know, they can't uncoil. So this is just an easy drill just to help them uncoil. You know, the guys are over exaggerating it, how much they throw their heads back and everything, but it's more about their hips, right, and coming through with the power on it. Okay, you can see, you know, right here, he's over exaggerating it, you know, throwing his head back. Okay, but you know, that's all right. It's just more about getting the hips in it. Okay. You see some guys, you know, they've got a lot of power. This guy right here is very strong. So when he's doing it, you know, the guy holding it, he's feeling that pop through him. Okay, so double under with one step and then the drive block. Okay, film kind of cuts in late here. So I don't get the first step, but we'll get it coming the other way. So you see him, we just get him lined up. So we do one step and punch, okay? And now we'll do drive for 5. So drive it for 5 right here, okay? One thing you want to see is you want to see them, you know, maintain a good base, all right? Have good bend right now in the knees, all right, and the hip, okay? The thing I really like about this too is it keeps our head out of the block, all right? We want to be able to see our linebackers, all right, see things that are going on, you know, and protect these players. So we don't want to be leading with our head all the time. So this allows us to play a little bit more vertical, our head up, okay, and out of the block. Okay, good base right here. Okay, feet. All right, so you see every step, he's got his full cleat in the ground. We're getting a lot of power out of that. All right, easy for him to adjust if the guy's moving from side to side. Okay, all right, so now this is early on in camp. We'll tend to do this just to so they recognize how much power they can truly have doing this. Okay, so you can see here just the way we lined up, it ended up being all the tight ends went first here. But you'll see they don't have as much power, all right? And they're not hitting it with the right strike. So they're not getting a great amount of lift, all right? Now we switch it up, okay? Now you watch this guy right here, and he's lifting him up out of the ground, okay? Watch this one right here, okay? So now he's learning how to roll his hips, okay? Picking that defender right up out of the ground. So how many times do you get that look right there where you can get the guy truly lifting up off the ground? You're not going to get it very often, but it's the fact that you're teaching them how to do a hip roll, okay? I did have one on film, but it's on my old computer. But it's when the guys walk down late, have a linebacker walks down late on the guard, okay? They're all mugged up, so they're 5 across, and the guard just comes through and just picks them up and drives them back. You know, it doesn't necessarily happen all the time on film, but you're teaching them how to roll their hips through the block. Okay, double under zone step and a drive block. Okay, so now we'll get them to just offset to one side or the other. Okay. And they'll just take a zone step, same thing. We want to set up our departure angle with our first step. Okay, small little drop step. Okay, and then we'll drive them.
Why the drop step?
Why the drop step? Just to set up our hips. We want to be able to keep our hips open to it. What I don't want them to do is, let's say we're running to the right, okay, and then they take their first step with their right foot, and now they end up getting their hips locked because that left foot ends up behind, and then they can't come off to that linebacker scraping over the top. So it's just in order to keep their hips in line with the play.
Okay.
But I'll have some as we
examples as we go along. Okay.
Yeah, I've got some actual film, and then we'll kind of see it. I did not put anywhere they lock the hips, so I just put settle stab. We'll get into in a second. I know some guys do lead step, and I'll show you. I do use a lead step as well, but usually it's the inside foot that'll be lead stepping for me. Same thing here. Okay. All right, now just a straight drive block. So this one here now. So now we've taken away all the teaching aids, okay? And now we just want to see them just get a good drive block, all right? So you can see number 53 right here, doing a great job rolling his hips. Got a great base. Okay, now we can work our finish. Boom. Okay, finished. All right. Great job right there, getting the finish. Okay, but you can see all the stuff that we just did in all the previous drills is all translated to this drill right here, and this is just a quick rapid fire deal. Like you look at right here, the power he's got, okay? You know, you got good bend in the ankle and the knee, okay? You've got great bend in the hip. Head is out of the block, all right? Elbows are tight. You know, this is perfect form right there. I love it. Okay, now you got, so another thing I work on is strong backside hand. Okay, so what we'll do on this one here is, so their backside hands coming aggressively, all right? So we'll just have the guys hold the med ball, and they've got to strike it with their backside hand, all right, and drive it, and then at the end of it, they're going to play long, all right? So as the guy's running, and he's, you know, whether it's on an outside zone play, and you can feel that guy trying to make a move over the top, now you want to play along on that, okay, but it's that strong backside hand. And I've got some clips seeing that in the game too. Okay, same thing right here, strong backside hand. All right, running it by. Okay. Now drive block with a zigzag. So this one here is and I've done this one with all levels of guys. This is a very important drill, I think. It is overlooked a lot of times, but having that defender move side to side and having these guys replace their base, like you watch. So the O linemen, you know, they're pretty versed in this. You know, they're used to this stuff. But you watch a fullback get into this world, and they're all over the place. Okay, their feet are all over the place. They're going to get ragdolled. Okay, so the O linemen have done a great job maintaining a good base. All right, and be able to replace that power base all the time. Okay, so if you watch here, I'm going to show it here at the very end. Oh, sorry. You get to it here. The very end, you'll see the fullback here is going to be just completely leaning. Coming up here, just one sec. Oh, it was on there. Maybe it's on the next clip. Oh, here it is right here. There you go. All right. So you can see on this clip right here. All right. So the young man on this end right here. Okay. He's a waist bender right here. Okay. You can't have much power out of this. All right. You're going to get ragdolled. The defender's just going to shed you, throw you down to the ground. Okay. It's tough for him to maintain his base doing that. All right, where you can see the other guys they've got great bend in their knees and their hips. All right, same thing right here. We still got power, heads out of the block. Okay, let me rewind it. You can see this guy kind of go from the beginning. All right. So you just see him leaning right there. Okay, not a good spot to be in. Not going to get much push out of that. Okay, like I said, defenders are just going to feel that lean and they're just going to throw them to the ground. Just shed that block. Okay, all right. All right, so now we got settle stab, okay, and then drive for 5. All right. Something that we've talked about too is, you know, making sure that the guys know the names for your drills. Just helps you set up faster. Okay. So this is what you were asking about the, you know, the first step being drop step. Okay. So this right here is a combo block, and there'd be this picture here. This would be a right guard, and the center's coming to help out on this. So he's the front side guy, and there's a linebacker plus on him here. Okay. So we just want to set up our hips. So our hips are on a good angle right now. Okay, to drive this vertical, okay, and then be able to progress to the linebacker once we get to his level, or he comes to us. Okay, so this is just settle stab. Okay, so I'll get them to do the step one time, and then I'll just say settle stab, drive for 5. Okay. And just drive it, all right? And get used to that feel. This is what I was talking about. Some guys right there would rather have their forearm than their hand on it, okay? Unfortunately, I don't have all the Crowther technique stuff on film, but we use an arm shield to do all that stuff. I wish I had it because it's some good stuff. Okay, so then we'll just do the same thing with an arm shield sometimes. Okay, CFL during the season, guys are not allowed to wear pads anymore. So, you know, you got to use arm shields more. So this one here, okay, so we talked earlier about taking that drop step. I want his second step, I want it to drive straight up the crotch on this one here, okay, to the inside of his outside foot. All right, but we want to stay inside the defender. We don't want to step around the block. Okay. Another thing we don't want to do is we don't want to step back. Okay. So you watch his right foot here. Okay. He steps back. Well, if you've got, this is a left guard right here. If you've got a center coming with you and you step back, now you're going to be stepping on toes. Guys are going to be falling over. Okay. It's a small little thing right here. Okay. But it's something that we got to get corrected. He has to step straight upfield on this. Okay. So I'll get him to reload it. All right. Okay. And then drive it. All right. Then he fakes an injury, so he doesn't have to do it again. So, all right, now white step. Okay, so white step is what you mentioned earlier about going with the lead step. So this one here would be my lead step that I would go over with the guys. Okay, so same thing, right? Same thing. So this would be the front side guard. Okay, so it would be a right guard here going to a linebacker. All right, and the center would be coming in here on this double team. Okay, so this one here, we want, you know, we got a heavier D tackle, someone we want to get into collision with right now. So the guys go with a white step. All right. Also a good step to use if you're a tackle and the defensive end starts crowding down, okay, and you see an edge pressure coming. If you want to anticipate that spike right there by the defensive end, okay, I tell the guys, hey, don't be afraid to use a white step on that. That way you can, you know, potentially cut off that spike of the DN or the long stem of the DN. Okay, it's the same thing right here. So we'll do the step and then drive it for 5. Okay, then we'll get into the combo. So now we got to put it all together. It's all the teaching progression, right? So we got the zone combos, front side guard, and the center combo. Okay, so now the linebacker is plus. All right, so what I'm talking about when I say plus, all right, as you can see here, the linebacker is plus the guy. He's on the play side of the way we're blocking. All right. If he's minus, we have to use different footwork. Okay. The linebacker is going to help us determine what the footwork is. Okay. This is okay here. If a special teams coordinator wants to come interrupt you during your Indy, that is okay, because that person helps you get your Indy periods at the right time. They won't schedule a field goal in the middle of when you want to be doing things. So I don't mind that one bit. Okay, so you can see here, right guard, settle stab, a little bit late into it. So we'll get another clip right here. Okay. So just one little settle step, okay? Left foot goes straight up field, all right? And we get great movement there. Drive it back, stay on it till we get to the linebacker depth. Okay, or he comes to us. Okay, same thing right here. Okay, left guard, settle stab. Okay, center comes in for the overtake. All right, big thing. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, you do not want this right foot right now to step outside this defender. Okay, when that happens, we say we're stepping around the block. What happens is now this guy here can easily split this double. All right, so this step has to be vertical. Okay. Okay, so now you get a look at it. It's basically the same block right here. This is a backside guard here and backside tackle. Okay, but now you can see what happens here. So he needs to take his stab step straight up the field. Otherwise, we tend to lose our power base. Okay, so look at his base now. It gets all crazy. Okay, it's all crazy. Okay, so this is the backside of his zone play. All right, zone play would be going somewhere over here. Okay, like a mid zone to the other side. All right, so we're anticipating heavy flow. Okay, but his base is all messed up right here. Okay, so for each guy, when you talk about the power base, all right, you don't even have to think about your power base because you use it every time you go to the bathroom. If you think about when you sit down at the bathroom, all right, when you sit on that toilet, you are getting to your natural power base and you're sitting down. So whatever that width is, that's probably going to be your most your strongest, most comfortable position for you, and you don't even have to think about it. So very rarely would you put your knees right beside each other and sit down and go to the bathroom, all right? You know, typically a guy will be a nice wide stance, and then he'll sit down and try whatever that is right there, all right? So have them stand up and sit down like they're sitting on a toilet, and just tell them that is your power base. They're not all going to be exactly the same, but that is their power base. Okay. So front side guard and the center combo on a white step. Okay. Oh, and another big thing too. So when you're working with your centers and stuff on these drills, always get them to snap so that they're actually going through the true progression of what they have to do, because they got to snap it and then they got to step. All right. So have them work it. Okay. Just have a guy stand behind. Okay, pay attention and catch the ball. All right. But you can see the white step. All right. Look at the right guard right here. So he's leading with his left foot. Okay, we're leading. Okay. But you can see here our right foot always stays behind our left. All right. So our hips are always going to be, slightly open to this linebacker right here. So when he triggers, we can still get off to it. If our hips were locked, okay, facing this way, all right, now it's tougher for us to get to this guy when he triggers. Okay, now the eye in the sky don't lie. Okay, so if you're having conversations in the back, sometimes you get hit. Okay, so make sure that they're paying attention if you're doing this. Okay, I say that jokingly, but if there's another drill going on and that ball rolls and injures a guy, that's not a good deal. You can see here just the power he's getting. Okay, boom. They're driving it up, getting movement. Okay, so if you got a big D tackle you're trying to get movement on, all right, that's the kind of stuff that I like them to do. Okay, we're talking about right here, just, maybe using the flipper a little bit. Okay, but he's not comfortable with that. So just, you got to keep working it. Okay, front side guard and center combo, linebackers minus. All right, so now when we do it, okay, you'll see here. Okay, so he's minus, so this is our double. Okay, we're doubling to this guy right here. All right, our down lineman. Okay, to this linebacker. This linebacker is minus, all right, our down lineman that we're doubling. Okay, so now it's going to change up our footwork. Now our center is going to lead with his right foot. Some guys call it gallop, all right? Some guys call it high knee. But you'll see us gallop here, all right? Now we got to be ready to take him if he triggers backside. Okay, so it's not an easy deal. You know, teams will play in a wide front, or if you run into the 3 technique and you've got the Mike is playing in the A gap. Okay, so this might be your answer for you that you want to do. Okay, same thing right here. All right, using the gallop. Okay, keeping his hips open to him. All right. So now if the linebacker was to play over the top, okay, now the center can just bring his right foot forward. All right, and now he can just turn it into a run block. All right, the combo would just push it over the top. Okay, all right, so there's a mix here of, I think, a couple different things in this cut up. But so right now we've got a 3 technique, and then that Mike he's not quite mugged, right? But he's just a little bit deeper than the heels of the D line. So we got to be ready to pick him up. You know, they do this to single up more blocks, but the center is going to use a shuffle. He's going to move himself laterally, all right? And then he's going to brace. So he's going to get right back into right there. He's getting right back into that settle stab. So we just go shuffle, brace, which is his settle step, and then stab is his left foot going upfield. Okay? So his eyes have got to be on the backer. All right? He sees the backer play over the top. All right? And the D lineman coming across the guard's face. Now he's going to look to pick it up. Okay? And then it turns into a frontside guard and center combo on that. Okay? So now we got the same thing here. All right? So the cowboy front that you'll get sometimes. So you'll have a 0 nose right now, a 3 technique, and a 5 on the other side. All right? And now we got a 5 on our left tackle. Okay? And then this would be the Will or the Mike mugged up on our guard. Okay? And we're going zone here to the left. Okay? So he'll do a shuffle. All right? Shuffle, be ready for a spike, pick it up, okay, and block it. Okay, now we'll start working some movements on it. All right, so shuffle, brace, pop. All right, now the guy goes back door. Okay, doesn't have to be pretty. You just got to give your running back a little seam and then let him go, right? More than likely, the guy that they're blocking is a better athlete, okay? So more than likely, they're a better athlete, so sometimes they just got to get the best piece that they can of them, all right? And then hopefully we can make something good of the play. One thing I like here, he's winding up a little bit on it, but this is the way he does it. Okay, but this is a strong backside hand. Okay, he gets displacement on it. All right, I'll show you a game film here in a minute. And he does the same thing in games. Okay, throws a haymaker on guys. All right, and then you see it here. Okay, all right, he gets movement on it. Boom. All right, so now the game film. We'll get to the end zone here. It's all just one clip, so I can't click it over to the next angle. Here we go. All right, so we'll see here. So this is the right guard. Okay, watch strong backside hand on this. Okay. All right. So settle stab. All right. Now he's just using that power that he's getting off his left foot. Okay, and then torquing the defender out. All right, and creating a nice lane for our running back. Okay, strong backside hand. Okay, give you another look here. Okay. All right, same thing. Right guard, strong backside hand. Okay, you see the width he created right there. Okay, give the running back a nice little lane. Okay, nice gain on it. All right, got another look coming up right here. Just fast forward to it. It's always nice when you got a hard-nosed running back too. That'll get some extra yards for you. Okay, so watch here, settle stab. So right now he's got the 2 eye on him. And so he'll settle stab to help with the nose. Okay, and then he'll climb to the linebacker and just get a strong backside hand on him. Okay, so we got here settle stab. All right, get some movement on it. Okay, strong backside hand. Okay, now if you're the running back right now, the only thing you're seeing is a white jersey. Now he can pick which lane he wants to go. Okay, this is a great block by him. Now the running back has to be taken to the B gap right here, and he has a clean access to it. Okay, great job. Okay, I don't have a ton of my old Montreal stuff on this computer I've got. So I have the Cleveland stuff, so I put some of these on right here. So you can see here. Okay, so we've got the backside guard, backside tackle combo. All right, so we got settle stab by the backside guard and then a high knee by the backside tackle. Okay, so watch it here, settle stab. All right, get nice and vertical with his left foot. Okay, we're getting good movement. All right. Okay, now we got the center and the backside guard combo. All right, and now this linebacker's minus him. Okay, and then we got the front side guard and the front side tackle. All right, their combo. We got settle stab by the front side tackle. Okay, and then the zone drive double. Or sorry, by the guard and the zone drive double. Okay, so let's watch first. Okay, watch first the left guard and the center. Okay, so we got settle stab and the high knee. Okay, so you see him come in here, high knee, eyes are on the linebacker. He's looking to help. Okay, linebacker comes down to his level. He's got to come off the block. All right, look at his hands in tight. Elbows are in tight, good extension. All right, nice block. Okay, so now let's watch the right guard and the right tackle. Okay, so the front side tackle has got a zone drive double. All right, and settle stab by the guard. Okay, so settle stab. Okay, and then watch the linebacker here that they're working to is all the way in the A gap. So now this the front side tackle, sorry, he can come down aggressively in this, all right, and just try and condense this entire gap, all right. So he comes down, look at what his right hand goes straight to the body, okay, goes to the hip here in the body, and look at the movement. That's tremendous right there, okay, you love it, okay. That's beautiful. Okay, and then last one right here. Okay, watch the right guard, settle stab. Okay, all right, and then the right tackle goes high knee, and they get their double that way. Okay, linebacker's almost stacked right here. Linebacker's almost stacked. All right, so now he doesn't want to be as aggressive getting into it because if this backer plays over top, now he's going to be in a bad situation because his hips might be locked. All right, with his hips going this direction. All right, so now he's trying to get high knee, keep his hips a lot more square to the line. Okay, that way he can get to this guy if he plays over the top. Okay, you see it there, right there, right? So now he's got to be able to come off of it. Okay, boom. He's got his block right there. Okay, you can't control what happens to everybody else in the field. but you can make sure that you're doing your job right. All right. Lots of duo from this film. Okay, you can see them playing over the top right there. All right, that was it, gentlemen. How do I do for time? Oh, look at that. Perfect. Let me unshare this. Excellent. All right, any questions? You impressed, Jackson? Look at my timer's going off right now.
That's pretty good, hey? That's pretty good timing right there.
Yeah.
I love that backside, the emphasis on the backside hand and the added power it gives. When you're starting out with that, maybe for the younger guys, how much focus do you have to put on, keeping it inside the frame or tight elbow, whatever word you put on it, so it doesn't become that whip?
The thing about it is they probably need to develop the power from coming from the side. And my thing with it too is if they capture him on the shoulder right there, as long as they don't get behind, you know what I mean? As long as they're not putting the hand on the nameplate, if they've got it on the shoulder there and they're running, that's fine. As long as they capture him that way, that guy can't fold back onto the block, right? Or onto the running back. So we want to create our width with that backside hand. So there are times it's going to come out a little bit wider, but they got to develop the power from it. So,
okay, so
I love it. I'm a huge fan of it.
So you're not too concerned with that much of a wind up and them coming outside on that? Okay.
No.
Okay. Then we did have another one here in the chat asking about teaching the Crowther technique.
Yeah.
So it's when you're teaching the Crowther technique, do you have the player stab, then absorb the defender to the forearm, or do they just lead with the forearm instead of the stab?
The exact same progression that we did with the ball. We'll do the same thing with the arm shield. Imagine the arm shield's on an angle, and we'll work the flipper, right, and then get the hips rolling, right? But it's always getting it on a rise, right? So we talk about, like, if you have a watch, on your wrist, you want to get it coming up on a rise. You want to try and hit with that wristwatch coming up through, right? That way we don't want them to think elbow coming at the man. We want to get it coming up, right, and aggressive. We want to pop the guy's shoulders up in the air. Dan D'Orazio has an amazing lineup of Crowther stuff on, and I went and did a training camp with him. I was his guest coach, and it was unbelievable, all the drills he had and I've never had one. I'd love to have a Crowther sled because I think it tells the guys right away, if they don't have a great base, you're on the ground, that thing's spinning on your ankles. So yeah, it's a great tool. I've just never had one to play with. Any other questions? Coach Hazen, any questions? What you got?
How about splits and I work with younger kids mostly, right? Yep. Like, so, from that peewee age range to just coming into high school, so like your juniors,
yeah,
and so on. So like I typically what we've been doing is like basically like an arm's length away from each other.
So at their
do you have any recommendations? Or
at their feet, are they roughly about 18 inches?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would probably want, around 18 inches. So if you look at their base, are they roughly about 18 inches? That's probably what I would want them at.
And how much do you focus on staggering their stance slightly?
So that's a tough one, because like every guy is different in how they where they get their power from on that.
Right.
So some guys will have a much deeper stagger because they don't have great flexion in their hips and stuff, so they've got to bend it a little bit more. But some guards and some centers, man, they can sit way down and it's almost parallel. So that's going to vary with each guy. Ideally, like especially like when I'm working with young kids, I get them to do the foot, put their big toe in their instep, right? And step away to shoulder width. And then I just do that till they don't even think about it. Now that's
automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I create the muscle memory on it.
How much do you allow the guys to come up with their own wording and calling for blocking schemes?
So if if it's a front, something that's new, and and we need to do something where it involves multiple things, and it's got to happen really fast because they move into it late. Yeah, we'll let the guys come up with something on it. But for the most part, I've got my base words that go with. I'll show you here if I have one ready. So like this would be like an O-line manual from back in the day for Saskatchewan. So you can see it's a lot of stuff. But a lot of things you don't necessarily use because you don't have those fronts show up that year. So it's your base calls, right? So whatever you want to call your center and your front side guard, as long as you're consistent with it with the guys, then they can figure it out.
I found that typically when I've taken more of a dictator style ship coaching approach, that tends to work with team or players that are not as advanced.
Yeah.
But with the kids that got experience, giving them that ownership, I found that they've bought in more, right? When they're allowed to call it what they want to call it.
Yeah, certain blocks that we don't do very often, I'll let them come up with. If we get if we're going pin and pull, and the tackle's got to block down also, the tackle and the tight end are both blocking down. That one there doesn't come up that much, but 1 week we'll be lined up and we'll be like, oh, we're gonna call it. What do you guys want to call it? Right. Those are the ones, those random calls, and I'm just like, whatever you guys want to call it. But I do have my base ones that I prefer to have, and that's only because I can't remember all the darn calls that they come up with. So it's a tough deal. So 2 seasons ago, I came in halfway through the year for a team, and they had all their own calls, and it was a struggle to remember, what were you calling on this? So it's not easy for you. You got to be able to communicate it out. Now, if you've got a great memory and you can remember all the new words every year, then that's awesome.
No, for sure. Thank you. I'm sure Sheldon Neal has a question. Just call him out.
No, I'm fine. Good job.
I'm fine.
He's been to enough cool clinics and sat in front of me at the cool clinics that he's seen wild stuff for years. He's like, I just wasted an hour of my time.
No, I
so
saw
that came on earlier.
There. Tim, do you have anything that you want to add or ask? No? Okay. Well, I think that'll do it then. So thanks, guys. It's our last session of the year. So Coach Sharbs, appreciate you coming on. And really like you spend the extra time at the end here to talk a couple things out. And for the rest, this one and all the other ones will be on that YouTube page, and we'll get all